A last chorus for your ears only. I'm David Alpern.
I'm Melissa Exelberth with a quote from the news. You can't trust anyone. That was Bridget Ann Kelly after being fired as New Jersey Governor Chris Christie's chief of staff for her email initiating some traffic problems in Fort Lee, according to another gubernatorial aide, Christina Renna, who testified that Kelly also asked her to destroy an incriminating email. But Renna said she did not believe Kelly was a decision-maker in the scandal. Now this.
I hear the train a-coming, it's coming round the bend. I've seen the sunshine since, well, I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison. Time keeps dragging on, but that train keeps on going on down to San
Folsom Prison Blues is just one of the sharp, strong, sad songs in rising cabaret star Carol J. Bufford's new show, Shades of Blue, that ranges from the roots of the genre in the deep South of the late 19th century to its impact on country, jazz, pop, and rock, from Bessie Smith to Johnny Cash to the Beatles and Amy Winehouse.
It's a long trail, but Georgia-born Bufford has a lot of time to explore it. Her show will play Thursday nights at 9:30 throughout the summer and perhaps beyond at Manhattan's downtown Metropolitan Room, with each performance just a little different, she promises. And to say more about it, for your ears only, Carol J. Bufford is on the line now. Welcome back to our show.
Oh, thank you for having me back. Thrilled to be here.
Your earlier shows have celebrated standards from the Great American Songbook and songs of the Speakeasy era of Prohibition. What led you to focus this time on the blues?
Well, I've always tended to lean towards bluesier side of things in my song selection. I grew up with a lot of Dinah Washington and Bessie Smith being played throughout the house. And as far as the focus for this show, I've always really been fascinated by the profound effect that blues had on American music.
Talk a bit about the birth of the blues, the real roots, not the song of that same name, which we notice you do not sing.
No, not now anyway. We could always throw it in. But the birth of the blues, well, as you mentioned, the blues started in my homeland, the South. I'm from Georgia. And blues music is really a direct descendant of spirituals and work songs sung by slaves, which is, of course, probably why the lyrical content is so heart-wrenching.
The oldest song on your set list is from 1922, Lovesick Blues. Tell us about it.
Well, Lovesick Blues has always been associated with country music. Patsy Cline and Hank Williams both had huge monster hits with it. But it was written in 1922, before either of them were born. And in 1927, it was actually used in a Broadway musical called Oh, Ernest. And Oh, Ernest was a musical retelling of the importance of being earnest, which is kind of funny to think about Patsy Cline and Hank Williams being associated with the importance of being earnest. And we do it in our show as kind of more of a ragtime blues.
From 1935, you have the famous song Summertime. I love that song. It's from the folk opera Porgy and Bess by the Gershwin brothers, George and Ira, and DuBose Hayward. Do you consider that a real blues or blues influence on Broadway?
Blues influence, for sure. That's where the shades in Shades of Blue really come into play. You can hear the influence, but it's really been heightened and theatricalized because it's an opera after all. But the music really speaks to the language of the characters. And Summertime in our show is kind of an homage to Janis Joplin's performance of it in Woodstock.
Ira Gershwin is back again with composer Harold Arlen from 1935 and what could be an updated version of Lovesick Blues, The Man That Got Away. How does that fit into your blues family tree?
Well, Man That Got Away is probably the palest shade of blue in our show. I included it because I was reading this really great book, and I saw an excellent quote from the blues pianist Thomas Dorsey, and he said that the blues is just a good woman feeling bad. So I wanted to find a song that was not really associated with the blues, but it still gave you that kind of socked in the gut feeling, and that song certainly fits the bill.
From 1955, you have an Elvis Presley number. Explain how it got into your show.
Well, in all of my research, I kept seeing a similar phrase over and over and over again, and that was that rock and roll was just the blues sped up. So we take an Elvis number, All Shook Up, and a Jerry Lee Lewis number, a whole lot of shaking going on, and we slow them right back down.
And how do the Beatles figure in your celebration of the blues?
Well, the Beatles' "Oh Darling" has always been a longtime favorite of mine. It was actually the first song that I brought into rehearsal with Ian Herman, my musical director. And it already kind of has that New Orleans swampy blues pop chord structure to it. So I told Ian that I really just wanted to bring out more of the bluesy sound. And the arrangement came out in one take, and we solidified it and haven't changed it since. It's probably my favorite song to sing in the show.
The most recent entry in your blues show is a John Legend number from just 2 years ago. Tell us how that made the cut.
Well, Who Did That to You is from the movie Django Unchained, a Quentin Tarantino film. And it really has kind of a funkier soul sound to it. And I wanted a contemporary R&B song, rhythm and blues, that you could really hear how the blues sound trickled down to contemporary music. And I also thought that the story of this character was very compelling. It's a freed slave who is seeking retribution, and I think that lyrical content speaks back to the roots of the blues.
Carol J. Bufford's new show, Shades of Blue, plays Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. throughout the summer of 2014, maybe beyond, at the Metropolitan Room, 34 West 22nd Street in Manhattan, and metropolitanroom.com. For more about her and the rest of her schedule, check out caroljbufford.com.
Nobody wants you when you're down and
A dirge from the Depression era when most everybody had the blues. And this has been For Your Ears Only.